If you've
I
been,
have not.
okay, it's pretty incredible when you first walk there and you take your first peek at it. You're just like overwhelmed at the vastness that is the Grand Canyon. From the southern rim is where we were, and it just was. I was awestruck by the beauty of it, and the reds, the green, the colors were unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it was a good trip. It was fun.
I've only flown over it a couple of times. I've never been to it. So that is on my bucket list for sure. But congratulations! It's certainly one of those things that you'd like to get done. What do they call them? Bucket lists.
Yes,
Yeah.
no question. Yep, why you can really enjoy it, and we were able to do that, walk around quite a bit, and just a good time for the whole family.
So how was your draft experience?
That was amazing. Day two, I was down there for day two. But they estimated 230,000 people in that sea of humanity there. You were there night number one.
Yep.
It was, I thought Detroit really showed up very well. It was
Oh God, yes. Don't
well
you?
done. Very, people felt it was a very
The city
strong-
looked spectacular.
It did. Yes. When I watched it on TV on the first night while you were down there, I thought everything visually was awesome. You know, it really did a great job. The city of Detroit put on a good party. They were good hosts, and it continued into day two and day three as well.
Yeah, smashed the 3-day attendance record, and the thing. And when I was there on Friday, and I hope you experienced the same thing. The other thing, not only did the city look great, and the way they mapped it out, so people, because there was a lot of people from out of town.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Was that there was no incidents, and the security. You could tell there was a lot of security, but it was not imposing.
Yes, exactly. No, you didn't feel like a police state or
Yeah.
anything like that. Yeah, for sure. But you felt. I mean, I walked all the way from where my daughter works at Harry's. I walked right down Woodward all the way down to the draft where it took place at the theater there, and so it just felt perfect.
I don't believe you.
I know it's a true statement. That's an absolute.
I've never seen you walk that far. You
I
have
know,
trouble walking from the truck into the studio.
When motivated, I can do it. But so yeah, it was,
Now you've blown your cover. That means back to a honeydew list.
yes, exactly. Well, look, if you could walk that far for an NFL draft,
Yeah, you can get out
get
there
back
and
out
mow
there
the
and
lawn.
Exactly. Why are we paying for that to be done?
Yeah, your cover's blown, Rich.
No question.
I know it's a week behind or so, but the draft was such a highlight for the city.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. Like you said, when you have a total of 775,000 people estimated to be there, and like you said, to pretty much have a go off without any major hitches or anything like that, that's something well done.
I don't know if that'll earn the Lions another Super Bowl. I kind of doubt it.
Right.
Especially with the way Vegas pulled it off. I think you're only going to see the Super Bowl in a few places now.
Yeah.
But it was, and it's going to be obviously a long time before the Lions get the draft again.
Right.
So I'm glad we went.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Totally worth it. You know, again, it might be, like you said, a long time, so I had to go do it while it was here, and you and I both had a great time.
One little thing about the Lions, there's not a lot of news right now. The rookie camp, I think, starts tomorrow.
Yeah, this month there's all kinds of rookie camps and OTAs and things throughout the whole month.
But one of the guys, there's a little blurb about him, and I remember hearing his name and watching him play this year. Is an undrafted free agent that you got to keep your eyes out on is Isaiah Williams, the wide receiver from Illinois.
Okay.
A lot of people thought he might be a 4th or a 5th round draft pick. He was the second leading receiver in the Big Ten. He had almost 900 yards and 12 touchdowns. He was right behind Marvin Harrison.
Wow.
And and he led the country in yak, and the Lions signed him as an unrestricted free agent or an undrafted at
Right.
UD. Well, I can't. What
Did he not just run well or something? Was that the big deal?
He's not huge.
Yeah.
He's 5'9", 180.
Okay.
And he only ran like a 4.65.
Okay.
But so what?
But so Amon-Ra St. Brown isn't a burner either.
No.
That's why he went in the 4th round from USC.
Yeah.
It's just right. These people don't go, like early in the draft. But man, that doesn't. You put pads on them, get them out on the football field. They play much faster than their time speed.
Well, on top of the fact that if you could tell me who played quarterback at Illinois, you guys get a free Q100 T-shirt, but because. I mean, Jared Goff is going to lay the ball in on this kid. And they do need that type of receiver.
Absolutely.
So, it's going to be interesting. There's a lot of talk that the Lions are going to, wait out when the cuts are, because usually a couple of high-line wide receivers come loose. But they do need another pass catcher.
Yeah, they do. Absolutely. And, we hope for growth, obviously, from Jamison Williams. Him kind of continuing to evolve as a true receiver there.
Yeah, but he can't split himself into two guys.
No, he cannot. He cannot. But again, I'm thinking, a more physical receiver would be nice. I mean, because losing, what's his name, that who was kind of a clutch guy for the most part.
Josh.
Josh Reynolds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
he's a little bigger. He's he's 6'3", and yeah.
Yep, and made himself at key times, got some big first downs. Did have a couple of drops, of course, in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, those were
but
brutal.
That was brutal for sure. But it also was like the first time he'd done that all year as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Like it is a quiet time right now for the NFL, which they usually don't have. So something's going to happen.
Well, they're going to steal the show with the release of the schedule.
That's right. Yeah.
So you're going to find out who plays on Monday Night Football. That's all. I think next week that's going to happen.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I knew there was something lurking in the woods.
Yes.
They should probably do it on the Saturday of the PGA when there's 5 guys at the top of the leaderboard.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was funny. I don't know if you saw Goodell on with Pat McAfee.
I did. I have post draft or
the Friday of the draft.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
No.
and they were, that show can be pretty snarky.
Oh yeah, you bet it can.
And they were, and Goodell was ready for it, and so they were like, "What's up with Christmas? You guys stole Christmas from the NBA," and Goodell's like, "Hey, our fans like to watch football, and it worked out that we had room in the schedule to play on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and so that's what we do now."
I tell you.
And essentially, he didn't say it he said it without saying it. Tough beans for the
Right.
NBA.
Well, that's it. You got to believe if you're a commissioner of these other sports leagues going up against the NFL, you just got under your breath. You're saying all kinds of things. Publicly, you'll say one thing, but you got to go, "Oh, that damn NFL! They're stealing us." Or what little window we had at that point. That is that monster of the NFL.
Yeah, and we're going to get to a full session, but something popped into my head last night, Rich, when I was watching the hockey. And playoff hockey is better than NFL regular season. I'm sorry.
You just can't turn it. Example, the Colorado game. You thought down 4-0, the game's over. Oh no, it's not. They still had a period to go.
They've had 3 games in the playoffs where guys have come back from a 3-goal deficit in the third period. But you know what? No other sport has 2 things that the NHL does. And that's, getting the man advantage on a penalty.
Right.
And the ability, or we're going all in, I'm pulling the goalie out.
Yes.
I mean, and that, it's just like,
Exactly.
And you can't, no other sport can replicate that.
Yeah. Yeah, could you imagine football, a defensive penalty? They pull the defensive back off. You're playing with 10 defenders now. I mean,
They do it in soccer if you get the red card,
they do.
right?
Yes, yes.
But
that
I
is
mean,
true.
there's a lot of guys, and it's a bigger field and everything else. Yeah, I just love the NHL in playoff hockey, and like I said, we'll get into it a little bit later. But yeah, the dust has settled on the draft, and what do you think? Do you think the Bears are going to contend this year?
I tell you, the NFC North is really interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Really interesting because, not only, you expect Green Bay and Detroit to really battle it out this year, for sure, with Detroit having, I believe, a slight advantage.
Yeah, the Packers could be worrisome, especially if they get their poop and a scoop on the defensive side of the football.
Right.
I mean, they got a lot of talent there. It just never seems to click too well.
Right.
But they gave the Lions a ton of headaches in the both games they played last year.
Yeah, no question about it. And, with Williams coming in as a rookie quarterback, they sure have done a nice job in the last year adding a lot of talent to that Bears team. Remember the trade deadline last year when they were selling off some guys and we thought, what the heck are they doing, some of their better guys? Well, they've acquired a lot of talent.
Well, Montez Sweat was a game changer. There's no doubt about it.
Big-time signing, for sure.
It's funny. They signed they drafted Williams first, and then who's the kid from Washington?
Yeah, Odunze.
Yeah.
Rome Odunze.
Rome. I was going to say Paris.
Yeah,
Paris, Rome,
Odunze.
London, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a London Fletcher. We have Paris.
We do, yeah.
But one of the guys that I have come to really respect his opinion on roster construction and everything else, probably more than anybody else, is this Michael Lombardo, who's on with McAfee all the time. Yeah. And he pointed out, so he's got so interesting insights.
Yeah.
He said, I think Odunze was a bad draft pick for the Bears because how many times is this guy going to get on the field where they already have DJ Moore, and then they signed who's the guy out of Keenan Allen, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Keenan,
so he goes like,
Diego.
He goes, I don't see Odunze getting on the field for more than like 80 snaps, 90 snaps this year.
Wow. And you take him in the top 10 at number 10?
Yeah.
And you're expecting more than that.
You might be looking a little down the road. I think Allen's only on a 1-year deal.
Okay.
So I get it, and a lot of people loved Odunze. Mm-hmm. But, it's all going to be dependent on, Caleb Williams. There's people that think that Williams is a diva and that he's not going to be, he has huge bust potential, is what they like to say. Him and Drake May, they're like, yeah, the ceiling is high, the floor is really low.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you saw it last year, especially like I know when guys were breaking down these quarterbacks, like, I'm glad that nobody is analyzing me as much as.
Oh, I know, exactly. Can
like,
you imagine just
he picks his nose with the wrong finger.
At lunch one day, he did this. He put ketchup on a hot dog.
But,
no one puts ketchup on a hot dog.
But they tore him a new one, for the game. The worst game that he had all year was against Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, of course, a lot of eyes on that game.
A lot of eyes on that game.
USC,
and
Notre Dame.
And Notre Dame plays the closest thing to an NFL defense, and he was lost in that game. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be really – and he's got an O coordinator who's is coming out of a Seattle system. I mean, there's a lot of things at play. There's going to be a crap ton of pressure. Chicago media, Chicago fans. Yes. Now they want to build this brand new stadium.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you can hold your horses on the Bears winning the Central Division.
Yeah, for sure. But like you said, that having a rookie quarterback anytime, there's going to be growing pains for sure. And he's so used to playing that college style of scramble, as they say, off-script plays or out of structure and things like that. And he just absolutely just loved that. That's the way he played. But in the NFL, you can't play really that kind of chaotic kind of offense.
No, but I mean, you're right. The and how quickly will JJ be in behind center for the Vikings? Who's the kid that they signed out of San Francisco?
Oh yeah,
who was
he was
also
USC quarterback.
Yes, Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold, yeah.
So Darnold, did he even see the field in San Francisco?
I don't think so.
I don't think he did.
No.
So does he? They're talking about, well, he'll play a little bit. How quickly can Kevin O'Connell fly to Grayling to Minnesota and get that offense in gear? But Minnesota's got a lot of pieces.
They do.
It could be easy for JJ to chuck it to Jefferson and Adair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, Addison.
Yeah.
Those guys. Yeah, the great receiving core, a really solid offensive line.
Yeah.
And they get it done with running backs. They got rid of course, the guy that we both really like a year or two ago. And now they went to some other guys.
No, they got what's his name from the Packers?
Yeah, they ended up
Jones.
signing him. Yeah, Jones has been a good running back in the NFC.
Very good. So
probably been the best running back in the North for 3 or 4 years.
The Vikings have some defensive deficiencies as well, but they got probably the best defensive player in the draft. They had a really good draft, getting JJ and then the kid out of Texas, Gardner.
Okay.
Yeah.
They did lose Daniil Hunter, the defensive
Yeah,
end,
that's
signed
true.
a huge contract.
A lot of people had him targeted to come to the Lions.
Yeah. He would look nice in the Lions uniform for sure. To give up those bookend defensive ends to crash down, but no, it's going to be great once things start happening. A lot of news starts coming out of Allen Park, and it'll be fun to keep track of what's going on.
When you were at the draft, did you see anybody sporting the new Lions gear already?
I did. I know, really.
A lot of those black jerseys, you cannot get that black jersey anywhere.
It's sold out.
Yeah, it's gone.
Sold out immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy.
No, when we talked to that gal, she said, it's going to be a few weeks before we get those things in.
That's wild.
For
sure. No, to see that many that it literally just came out, and to see that many Lions fans in their new jerseys was incredible.
Yeah. Well, we'll have plenty of time to talk about I don't know if there's. We'll leave with this, Rich. How much pressure do you think is on the Lions?
Well,
I don't know if maybe the pressure's off.
Yeah, because what they did last year.
Or is there that much more pressure? I don't know.
Right. It's kind of uncharted territory for the Lions, being the defending NFC North champs and making it to the NFC Championship game. So these are all new avenues for this organization. Yeah,
I think people, obviously if they started off 0-5 or something like that, that would be like, oh, here we go.
Rome is burning.
Yes.
For sure.
But I don't get the sense like people. It's more like excitement, not pressure. Like, well, we better go to the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah. They just everyone, fans, the players themselves, they know the goal now. No longer we say, oh, we want to win the division and get to the playoffs. No, we want to go to the Super Bowl. That's what and you can say that realistically. That's what's cool about it.
Well, they're the fifth betting favorite to go to win the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
They're at plus 1,400 to win the Super Bowl. So only the Chiefs, the Niners, Baltimore, and I don't even know what the other team is in there. The Bengals. Those are the only teams that are ahead of the Lions to win the Super Bowl. So the Lions are the second favorite team in the NFC to win the Super Bowl, not go to the Super Bowl, to win the Super Bowl.
In the way too early preseason rankings, Colin Cowherd had who he thinks his Power 10. He's got the Lions at number 2 behind Kansas City as the second best team in the NFL.
Okay,
So that's interesting.
I like
off season. He said they did the right kind of signings in free agency, and they had the right kind of draft addressing the defense.
Well, yeah, and obviously a ton of will have to do with with injuries, and
yes.
and I hate to jinx it again. Now we've had 2 years in a row where Goff has played almost every snap.
Yeah, exactly.
But they do have a great offensive line.
You're
so.
Right. And you will see the development of Hendon Hooker behind the scenes. That's what's going to be kind of interesting as well, to keep an eye on that. I'm excited to see him in preseason games because he's going to be healthy.
Well, I wonder if like if Hooker can he play in rookie camp? Because isn't he a rookie?
Yeah, since he didn't, I would assume.
I don't know if he never saw the field.
Right.
So I'm assuming this is his rookie season. I mean, not contractually.
Right.
But I mean, talk about a great contract, Rich. I don't have to play one down and whatever. He got $3.5 million.
Thank you very much.
Where do I sign up for
right,
this?
Exactly. That's a good gig if you can get it.
We'll be back after these words from our fine partners on Up North Sports Radio's Friday Faceoff, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport. It's time for Destination NH.
It's time to fly. Start your next comfortable, convenient journey from Northern Michigan's hometown airport, Cherry Capital Airport in Traverse City. TVC makes your trip easier with affordable terminal-adjacent parking and all the friendly airport services without all the crowds. Fly from Cherry Capital Airport to your dream destination on Allegiant, American, Delta, Sun Country, and United. Visit tvcairport.com and fly with TVC. Cherry Capital Airport in Traverse City.
The Traverse City Record Eagles Simply the Best 2024 Reader's Choice Contest is now open. Nominate your favorite businesses, organizations, and professionals in Northern Michigan to earn them well-deserved recognition as Simply the Best. You can nominate once daily in each category now through Friday, May 10th. Our 2023 Simply the Best broke records with more than 14,500 nominations and more than 26,000 votes. Support your favorites and help them stand out above the rest. Nominate at record-eagle.com/simplythebest.
MLB, Jerry Coyne in studio with Kevin Klein from TVC Cherry Capital Airport. The Tigers continue to win ball games, Kev.
Yeah, but I was going to say, the Yankees, but you know what? Hey, we're still a young team and we're fighting our way, through, and I see some rising things, and so we'll see what happens.
Pitching's been great. Starting pitching's been really good. For the most part, bullpen's been great. So we need some more hits.
Yes, we do. More bat production.
Yeah, we need another bat in that lineup.
So, when we're looking at what's happening in the next few weeks, we're going to be on the road quite a bit, and so also with the airport, our nonstop destinations are kicking off here. This is that time of year in the late May, going in the summer. So, a lot of activity on how to get to those away games. Boston is nonstop. Dallas is nonstop. Houston will be a new nonstop.
Yeah.
Atlanta's already nonstop. Minneapolis nonstop. So, when we start looking at what's coming on with these sixth-grade airlines, we've got some great fares out there. So if you're looking to go for the Boston away games
go to
here,
Fenway. It's my dream.
Oh, yeah, the big green monster.
Yeah.
I want to sit up there. I don't know how,
On the monster?
You get up on the monster. They got
like
those seats.
Yeah. Seats there.
I want to get in there. That's the ticket I want. But 406 to Boston. So, as we talked about a couple weeks ago, that was as low as 360.
Yeah.
So it's future planning. Going to Dallas for the Rangers, 263.
The reigning World Series champion,
For
Texas
sure.
Rangers.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Houston, 364.
Yeah, and you hit it right down in Houston, you can see Justin Verlander pitching against the Tigers.
Oh. Oh, that hurts still. Then you got Atlanta, 428. L.A.
One of the best teams in the league, and the Dodgers, of course, fantastic.
Yep, 562. But what is that first week of July? The series against the Twins.
Yep.
Sun Country gets you there for 118 round trip.
Yep.
$59 each way. What a great way to do it.
That's right.
And there you go. And then, of course, following up that series, they're against the Reds in Cincinnati, 243.
Wow.
So, so we got some great prices, great summertime fun coming up. So, hey, you can see your Tigers in Detroit, but what better way to see them out on the road?
No doubt about it. I mean, for about the same price as driving down there and doing all the things you can have to do, you get to go in another great city in America.
Absolutely, and hey, no better way to do it than flying out of TVC.
TVC. What is that website, Kevin?
TVCairport.com.
There you go. That's a Destination MLB. It's time for you to fly. There you go, Rich. Tigers on the road a bunch. They're home this weekend against the Astros, the struggling Astros.
Yeah.
Severely struggling Astros.
Shockingly.
What do they only have, like 12 wins?
I
Yeah.
mean, it is pretty incredible for sure, JC.
Yeah.
To see an Astros team that is so used to.
Well, they're always in the at least the American League Finals, championship finals, year in and year out. I mean, like for the last 6 out of the last 7 years, they've been in they've been to the World Series 4 times in the last 7
right.
years. So.
They're 13-24. They're in last place in the AL West. That is just stunning. Just a half game behind the Angels, of course, who will overtake Houston for last place.
Yeah.
Of course. Without, of course, now Shohei Ohtani or whatchamacallit that got hurt again, unfortunately.
Mike Trout.
Mike Trout, yes. So, yeah, they're
Again,
I know it. It's
every year
for like the last 5 or
6.
Yeah.
Missed meaningful time.
And it's horrible because again, when you watched him
Even Mickey Mantle.
Oh my God!
The funny thing is, he's turned out to be Mickey Mantle. Just injured all the time.
Yes.
It is sad. It really is.
It is.
And that's going to end up being his legacy.
It will. An all-time talent like that because, again, you get spoiled the first 3 years he was in the league. You're like, oh, my, this is the most unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, he almost won MVP versus Miggy, and Miggy had the Triple Crown, and guys are saying, like, hey, Trout, I think, still had a better year. I'm like, what? Cabrera ended up winning that, but I remember hearing that argument, and I'm like, you're out of your mind.
Right.
There hasn't been a Triple Crown winner since 1967, and you're talking, I don't care if the guy hit 85 home runs.
Right. Home runs, though, and steals bases.
Yeah.
In that,
and
the way his
fantastic
defense.
defensive player. Yeah. No, it's sad. It really is.
Yeah.
But, what else is sad? We were talking a little bit last week. The Padres made a deal for Luis Araza.
Yeah.
Or Araz. I don't even know how to pronounce his last name, even though he won the batting title 2 of the last 3 years. And the Padres got this guy for 3 pitching prospects and a backline reliever. The Tigers could have easily matched that deal.
Because, again, we've got prospects galore in our minor leagues right now. And to put someone, like you said, like Ariza, or however you pronounce it would just be incredible in that lineup.
Yeah, he's hit 330 plus for the last 3 years. He would be such a salve to the problem that is the Tigers' hitting lineup that, I would really love to know if they considered this deal or whatever, because, the Marlins moved them because they stink.
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
they're horrible.
They and the White Sox are battling it out for, the dump-a-thon.
Yeah, Miami's won 10 games.
Yes.
10-29.
Yeah,
Is what they
and
are.
the White Sox have 11, and Houston's right there. So the Tigers had better win this series.
Yes, they have to win 2 of 3.
Yeah.
Again, and what we would always say when Keith was here, Jay, it's not who you play, it's when you play them.
Absolutely.
And then when they're down right now, you take full advantage of that and go after it. And because, again, we expect Houston to play a whole lot better than they are right now. So let's take advantage of that and win this series 2 out of 3.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Rich. It looked like the Tigers were in pretty good shape in the Central. Then the Twins won 15 of 17 games, and the Tigers are above water, but they're in
fourth
place.
Yeah, because you got Kansas City, who's at a .590 winning percentage.
they've played pretty good baseball.
They certainly have. Yeah, they've been impressive. they're tied for second with Minnesota right now.
Well, we've got to win 5 of these next 6 games because they play Houston and then the aforementioned Florida Marlins,
Yeah.
who have the worst record in baseball.
Yeah, that one, like you said, should be a sweep.
Yeah.
I
mean, if they could win all 6 games,
Oh.
that would be fantastic. So it's a great weekend to get down to Comerica Park, folks.
Supposed to be good weather.
Beautiful weather and potentially winning a whole bunch of baseball games. Please, dear God.
Yeah, exactly. Temperatures are warming up, and hopefully the bats are right along with it.
Yeah, we were talking off air, folks, about there's been a lot of rumors about Spencer Torkelson being sent down to the minors for a little bit because he's just out of sync.
He is. Remember, he didn't even hit a home run in spring training this year. That's what, because you combine those at bats where you're working on things and getting that all worked out, and still in over a month of regular season action hasn't hit a home run.
I mean, thank God for Riley Green.
Oh yeah, Riley Green and Mark Canna, those guys both have played really. Yeah, Riley Green is so fun to watch. That left-handed swing, and he's putting the ball over the fence.
Yeah, he swings. He looks so much like Ken Griffey at sometimes. It's man, I wish we had 2 of them.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, the baseball is starting to. I mean, it's Shohei Ohtani has no conscience.
He's incredible. I mean, how do you pitch to that guy? How do you?
Well, the thing is, and he's super tall, so he's got a big ass strike zone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, that lefty swing.
Yeah.
Looks really good.
Yeah, he looks like he literally could get a hit every time at bat.
Yeah.
I mean, he's never uncomfortable.
Nope.
He never looks like his timing's up. Never. He just looks so comfortable at the plate. And it looks like he literally will get a hit every time.
I wonder how much of it actually has to do with the fact that he's a fantastic pitcher. So, he goes to the plate with the mind of a pitcher.
Right.
And probably does a fair amount of studying who he's going to bat with.
Think if I were pitching against myself, what would I pitch here?
Well, or not even necessarily that, but what is coming next?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because pitchers have their own patterns.
Yeah.
Like start me off with a curveball. Well, the slider or the fastball is next, right?
Right. And location's key. He threw outside and low this time. This next one might be a fastball high and tight.
Yep.
So get ready for it or whatever. You know what I mean? That's the mind games you play within yourself.
Yeah, and obviously he's winning most of the
time. Yeah, he's right in sync with what's going on.
Yeah, winning. The Dodgers look like a pretty good baseball team.
They sure do.
They look like $2.5 billion.
You're right. So far, that's been money well spent. So far.
It won't matter.
Yeah.
Unless they, win the World Series.
Yeah.
You have to get to the World Series to win the World Series.
You do?
I read that somewhere. Mark Twain wrote that back in 1889.
But they already have a 6.5 game lead over San Diego.
Yeah.
At this point, they're 26-13. But the big market teams are doing well. Like you said, the Yankees Yanks are playing well.
That's going to be an interesting division. With the Orioles are a really good baseball team. The Rays are surprisingly kind of not so great.
Yeah, they're right at 19-19.
Yeah.
Toronto's 3 games under 500.
Yeah, they're not hitting at all.
Right. Boston's 1 game above. I mean, Yankees are 25-14, and they're still a half game behind the Orioles.
Yeah. No, that's going to be a neck-and-neck race, I believe, all year long. It'll be interesting, since the Tigers didn't make this deal, and I would really love to know if
they were in on the bidding.
If they considered, when you don't make a deal, usually you don't hear anything about it.
No. Yeah. But it would be nice for Tiger fans to know they were trying to get him.
Yeah. But if the Tigers can stay in this area, what happens at the trade deadline?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Would you be buyers for the first time in a while?
Since
in a while. Long while.
Yeah, long. Me love you long time. But the other crazy thing is, like I watch Sports Center just
Sure.
about every morning. They're barely even showing baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, highlights like I also, and I'm happy with that. You know, it's the NBA playoffs, it's the NHL playoffs, so that should get the lion's share.
Right.
But I mean, you know, if you don't take a deep dive, you don't have even any idea of how well anybody is doing in baseball.
ESPN they used to have that Baseball Tonight crew, and they
Yeah.
had their own shows. They had all of that, really, and they got rid of most of those people when they had their layoffs.
Yeah.
And so baseball
And
to
the
them-
MLB network is not even, does it exist anymore? It's not on my platform.
Oh, it does, yeah. I
Okay.
have it, but it's shocking that the ESPN would do that. You know what I mean? Just totally get rid of, like, baseball doesn't even exist anymore.
Well, it exists right here on Up North Sports
does.
Radio.
For free.
101.1. Tonight's game starts at, I can't read that. It's got to be 6:40. It is 6:40. Who's on the bump tonight, do you know?
I do not, but I can check that.
Well, get on that.
I will get on that here. So, checking that out as we speak here. As the Tigers. Come on. Let's go today's here. Come on, people. My computer.
I don't know why it does. Framber Valdez is pitching for the Astros tonight, who's only been 1-1. He's been their go-to pitcher for the bulk of the season.
And Mize, this pitcher.
Yeah,
for the
Casey
Tigers.
Mize. Yeah, that's a good pitching matchup.
That is, yeah.
Mize has been really good.
He has.
Yeah.
Yep, really coming back off of 2 surgeries, a
Yep.
Tommy John and a back. I mean,
And
that
he's
touch-
gotten it up to 98.
He did, yeah. He
Yeah.
really, the last couple of starts, has really cranked it up.
Yep. So that's all happening right here at 6:40 on Up North Sports Radio. We'll be back after these words from our fine partners on Up North Sports Radio's Friday Faceoff, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport.
Sports on the Michigan News Network.
Dan Campbell will be missing at Lions minicamp today as the rookies show up to get their first taste of workouts in Allen Park. Coach is dealing with personal issues and expected back later this month. Grand Valley State quarterback Cade Peterson, one of the camp invitees, who is excited to show his favorite team growing up what he can do.
It's every kid's dream. Grow up a Lions fan, like you just know how much it means to you. Like I got pictures with me and my brothers in old Calvin Johnson jerseys.
Hillsdale running back Mike Herzog and Detroit native Theo Day will also be in camp. The Tigers will debut the brand new City Connect alternate uniforms tonight as they begin a weekend series against the Astros at Comerica Park. Valley play-by-play voice Jason Benetti says the players like them and is excited to see how they look under the lights. And coming up this weekend, Detroit City Football Club will return to their home at Keyworth Stadium in Hamtramck after a big upset win in the U.S. Open Cup. They'll host a normal USF matchup against the Phoenix Rising tomorrow afternoon with national coverage on CBS Sports. Chris Villar, Michigan News Network.
Let's go inside the mind of a 10-year-old.
I should have worn those earrings today. I like those earrings. Gabby has those awesome earrings. I need to ask her where she got those, but that's just what she would want me to do. I'll have Michaela ask her for me.
Buckle up, Sarah.
Yeah, but then Michaela will be like, why don't you just ask her yourself? That's just like Michaela.
Sarah, buckle up.
Michaela's such a great name. I wish I was called Michaela. There's like a dozen Sarahs in my class.
Hey, we're not hitting the road until you buckle up, honey.
Oh yeah, seatbelt. I forget sometimes because my brain is like busy, you know? I wonder if there's pizza at school today.
Sometimes it can be tough to get through to your kids, but it's not impossible. Always make sure they're wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Remember, you have the keys, you have the power. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
Welcome back to Friday Faceoff on Up North Sports Radio. It's time to hang out at Shanty Creek. Lindsay Southwell's on the phone with me. Lindsay, Mother's Day is Sunday. Do you still have room in the brunch?
We do still have a few open slots. That takes place from 11 to 3. So if you haven't made reservations, make them.
Yes.
Because it's a fantastic brunch.
Yeah, it can be frustrating for people. Walking up at certain times there's a great chance you won't be able to get in.
Yeah, Mother's Day is not one of those times. Because if you're treating Mom, there might be some issues.
Yeah, that is such a bad look, Lindsay. Everybody's all dressed up. They drive to the Lakeview restaurant. And I'm sorry, we are completely booked. Okay, well, is there a McDonald's around?
There is. There is. So if they're full, you can always hit on there. But, yeah, go ahead and make those reservations early. We're going to have our famous prime rib. We all know it and love it. And we have something kind of cool. Mother's Day we do brunchy type stuff.
Sure.
We have a crepe station. So they'll be making, you pick out the stuff you want in it, and they'll be making it right in front of you. It's a really great experience, not just for Mom, but for everyone in your group.
Well, Rich loves this because he looks like a hero taking his wife to the brunch when he gets his peel and eat shrimp and his prime rib. And yes, honey, I love you. You're such a great mom. I'll be right back. I got to get some more prime rib.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But so you can go Mother's Day if you're not up for the brunch, but you still want to do something for Mom. A great deal is still our anniversary special we have on our golf courses right now. We've been talking about this a lot, but I can't say enough about it because it's been a fantastic deal. People have been loving it. It's $30 for any of our 90 holes and over 5 courses. It includes the cart, and that's available on Mother's Day or the weekend. The weekend looks great.
Yes.
So if Mom's a golfer, it's a fantastic deal.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And the best thing about it, at $30, Lindsay, is the family can play. So you can go out to the Shush Mountain course or the Shanty Shanty course, and because it's a little bit more family friendly, but you're only paying $120 for the foursome.
Right. So it's a good time. It's good family time together, and then I think it kind of justifies going to the Lakeview for the buffet.
Oh yeah, it's paid for itself.
Right, exactly.
So yes, I know you said in your notes here, world famous. This is the world famous Mother's Day buffet. You guys have been doing it for decades, and it's a tradition for a lot of families.
It absolutely is, and I did check this morning before we hopped on the line, and we do still have availability on those courses and in the restaurants. So come on out this weekend.
Go to shantycreek.com, snatch up those golf and buffet reservations. Lindsay, thanks. We'll be hanging out there this weekend.
Thanks, guys.
All right. There you go, Rich.
Yeah,
you better get your reservation.
That's right. It is, yeah. Don't wait. Maybe right after the show, I'm going to have to.
What is better than carved prime rib along with the peel and eat shrimp?
Love it. 2 of my favorites.
There you go.
Right there.
And it doesn't even matter if you get a little cocktail sauce on the prime rib.
Oh, yeah. Not at all. No, exactly. Because you should have a little horseradish with your prime rib.
Absolutely. So getting back to the playoffs, the NBA playoffs, there's been some cool games. The Knicks games have been pretty exciting because the atmosphere in Madison Square Garden.
And love the way they play.
Oh, God.
With the energy and the effort, they
play like the city, man.
Yeah.
Yep,
gritty. It's very relatable to, people in Michigan with your Lions, the bad boy Piston days, all that.
They've got a little bit of that bad boy swagger. They're not pushing guys around too much. But I was going to say, there's been a lot of blowouts in the NBA. Some bad Mitch. That's going to kind of fade away here. But the NHL playoffs have been so good.
How about those Rangers, man?
7-0.
7-0 in the playoffs as
they've won 4 overtime games out of those 7s.
I mean, and they're beating a very good Carolina team. This is
that was a great game last night.
It was so good.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's just it's amazing to watch.
Yeah, and even the one blowout. I think there's only been like one blowout in the NHL. That was the Boston Panthers game the other night, and the whole third period was just fight after fight. After.
Oh, I know. Oh, it's just it turned into old school hockey right there.
They're like, screw you.
All right, the gloves are coming off.
Yeah,
baby.
even
Get
Kachuk and Pasternak
and
fought.
Pasternak,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's like Gretzky fighting Sidney Crosby.
Right, exactly. Two dudes that aren't
fighters that have been.
But Kachuk, you could tell. I mean, he comes from a tough family. For sure.
He hit Pasternak.
He did. Oh, with one that was just like.
Yeah, that connected. I was kind of shocked that Pasternak. It woke him up. He was like, oh.
Oh, exactly.
I thought we were gonna maybe just push each other.
Right. Yeah. Do like a couple of captains do. To kind of dance around a little bit. And
Kachuk hit him with a right cross that would have fractured both of our jaws at the same time. And, that was – it's just been dynamite. So – and I know we don't have to thump the Bible about hockey here in northern Michigan, but, man, playoff hockey is so good.
It is so good, exactly. It's just the intensity, the physicality, and the skill sets are just off the charts.
Yeah, the one thing that I guess is kind of surprising to me in the fans in the building are certainly, wired for it.
Right.
But, man, you'd think, I guess the intensity at Madison Square Garden is kind of like, come on, fans, pick it up.
Yeah, exactly. Because you watch the basketball playoffs and what it's like at Madison Square Garden for the basketball games and all that. But, of course, that is the mecca for and all of that. But you would think hockey would change.
Incredible how loud and how intense it is in Madison Square Garden. Yeah. And I know that the Rangers fans are pretty much the same way, but I'm sorry, the basketball fans are drowning out the Ranger fans in Madison Square Garden.
They are.
So, I don't know. The Rangers, to me, they look like they're going to be in the NHL finals. I'm not sure who's coming out of the West.
The West, I know. It's so hard to see Edmonton have control of that game the other night. And then for them to give it up, I thought they were
McDavid had a great first round. They have shut him down. Vancouver has shut Connor McDavid down, and it looks like Draisaitl's hurt. So that's going to really derail the Edmonton's chances,
sure.
and the Golden Knights are already out.
Mm-hmm.
So. Avs Rangers could make for a really exciting NHL final.
Oh, sure would. Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun.
Yep, but still tons to go. And when we return here on Up North Sports Radio's Friday Faceoff, your favorite topic, sports fans, NBA basketball.
Who knew? Fresh air is a destination, a place to breathe in the lapping waves of Torch Lake and explore the tree-lined trails of northern Michigan. A place to connect with nature and each other, one-on-one, in the waves, woods, and wonder of Bel Air. When you're looking to escape the everyday, breathe in the magic of northern Michigan at Shanty Creek Resort in Bel Air and online at shantycreek.com.
It's time to fly. Start your next comfortable, convenient journey from Northern Michigan's hometown airport, Cherry Capital Airport in Traverse City. TVC makes your trip easier with affordable terminal-adjacent parking and all the friendly airport services without all the crowds. Fly from Cherry Capital Airport to your dream destination on Allegiant, American, Delta, Sun Country, and United. Visit tvcairport.com and fly with TVC. Cherry Capital Airport in Traverse City.
The Traverse City Record Eagles Simply the Best 2024 Reader's Choice Contest is now open. Nominate your favorite businesses, organizations, and professionals in Northern Michigan to earn them well-deserved recognition as Simply the Best. You can nominate once daily in each category now through Friday, May 10th. Our 2023 Simply the Best broke records with more than 14,500 nominations and more than 26,000 votes. Support your favorites and help them stand out above the rest. Nominate at record-eagle.com/simplythebest.
You've done the hard part, finding the one who laughs at your jokes and even cracks a few of their own. I'm Erin Martins of Hogan's Jewelers in Gaylord. If it's time to take a knee and make it official, before you seal the deal, don't torture yourself trying to learn everything you need to know about diamonds, when all you really need to know is your jeweler. If you aren't familiar with Hogan's, ask around. After 66 years as Northern Michigan's diamond store, you're sure to find someone who will tell you all about us. We take time to educate ourselves on the particulars of diamonds so that when we sit down with you to have a serious talk, we can answer all of your questions. Maybe ask your parents or grandparents. If they've been around long enough, Hogan's may have been their jewelry store of choice for the rings, engagement, and bridal set too. Price? Sure, it'll come up eventually, but it shouldn't be where the conversation starts. We'd rather get to know you a little more because you see, we'd really like to make Hogan's your jewelry store for life. We're on Main Street, M32 in downtown Gaylord. Hogan's Jewelers.
Welcome back to Friday Faceoff on Up North Sports Radio, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport. Jerry Coyne, Rich Calkins in studio, and as we were talking a little bit, Rich, in the last segment, yeah, the emotion and the passion at Madison Square Garden for these Knicks is incredible. They are traveling to Indiana. You know, you heard about in the last series that one game where when they played in Philadelphia and there was more Knicks fans in the stands.
Because they bought all those tickets off the secondary market.
Yeah.
They became available, and then it was like, yeah, we'll buy it.
Well,
They bought a bunch of
and
them.
if you noticed, there was a crap ton of Rangers fans in Carolina. I mean, you know, obviously in New York, there's a lot of people with a ton of disposable income.
Yes.
I will be interested to see tonight how many Knicks fans travel to Indiana.
Right. Yeah.
I would imagine there's going to be more than a few.
Yeah, and the Knicks are really beat up right now. I mean, they can't. Anunoby goes out with that hammy. He's
he's at least not playing tonight.
Yeah,
they're actually talking about, and I would not be surprised if they sit Brunson too. Just throw a game away, just to try to get everybody a little bit healthier. I don't know if that's going to happen, but you know, in some ways, it's sad. I mean, Julius Randle hasn't played on this team in forever.
Right.
Who's a perennial all-star. Bogdanovich is out.
Yeah.
The guy that they traded for, who was playing pretty well for them. I mean, it's a mash unit. It's a mash unit all over the NBA.
It is. It is shocking to see the amount of.
No, the season's too freaking long.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
the
true.
NBA kind of shot. I give them all the credit in the world. People were bitching about load management, but look at what's happening.
Yes, they're gonna have to reevaluate things for sure. I know it's all about the almighty dollar, but they got to come up with more creative ways where they can generate revenue but play fewer games.
Yeah, I don't know how that is, or make the season longer so there's more rest built in.
Yeah.
You know,
because look at these plays. They're every other night. There's a game. Now, you know,
you have to. I think you have to do that in the playoffs. I'm just saying, you know, like the regular season, they're going to have to do something with it. I mean, look at how many. I mean, Kawhi Leonard didn't play, Kawhi Leonard's starting to look like Mike Trout.
Yeah,
you know,
he
can only play 40 games but you know, why can LeBron James play forever?
Yeah. Exactly.
Answer. Riddle me this, Batman. I don't know. He's 40 years old, and he still plays exactly the same way that he played when he was 18 years old. I mean, God bless him.
And he's developed a three-point shot now, and that's, I mean, he's a genetic freak.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, it's amazing for him to play as well as he is playing at his age.
All these people are bitching about the Pacers not playing any defense. Well, their best defensive player, Benedict Mathurin, has been out since the middle of March, and he's not coming back. And, Kristaps Porzingis is not playing for the Celtics. I don't know when he's coming back. What the bleep is wrong with the Celtics? They were 13.5-point favorites and get run out of their own gym by an obviously inferior Cleveland Cavalier team.
I said it 2 weeks ago. They are the team that looks like they should win the NBA championship at times, and then there's other times they just no-show.
I don't get it.
I don't either.
They must be drinking the Sergei Fedorov vodka. And people were just, a foregone conclusion. Celtics, Nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
your Nuggets are down 0-2 right now.
0-2 to a Minnesota Timberwolves team that looks really good.
They sure do.
You know, I don't see how the Celtics don't make it to the finals with the way the Knicks are injured, and you know, the pace. I don't think the Pacers could really win this series still, depending on how bad the injuries for the Knicks are.
Yeah, you could see that.
But it doesn't matter. There's no way that the Cavaliers are going to win this series.
No.
So either team, a damaged Knicks team, a full-fledged Knicks team Boston series would be a fun series to watch.
Yes, it would.
But it doesn't look like it's in the cards for us. But Boston, Minnesota could be really, really interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I love, you know, we're seeing the Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Is you know, a lot of people are saying the new Michael Jordan, and I don't think I argue with that.
Yeah, he's as you can tell, to even be considered anything close to that, you know, to see his athleticism and the way he soars through the air, and it's just he's fun to watch.
Well, he plays great defense.
Yes, that's why, because Jordan played really good defense, you know.
Oh yeah,
so,
he was the NBA Defensive Player of the Year like 4 years.
Yeah, and so that's why you get that comparison, because he's not resting on defense, where some guys are all offense and no defense. That's not Ant-Man at all.
No.
You know, that OKC Dallas series, you know, Dallas won that game. I stayed up and watched that last night, and you know, OKC is young, but they're kind of fun to watch. And Dallas, you know, with what they have, they're two big horses. They got great contributions from, who's 29 points last night? Washington.
P.J. Washington,
yeah.
who they got at the trade deadline. And,
yes.
Hardaway Jr. finally showed up and played.
Yeah, Timmy played well.
Yeah, you know, I like Dallas. I don't know. Again, Luka is playing pretty gimpy.
Yeah.
And, you know, and the other problem is in the playoffs, I mean, unless you do what we just prescribed for the Knicks, like just give a game away.
Take a night off.
And get 4 days worth of rest could be very helpful. Dallas is in a fight for their lives, so I don't see Doncic coming off the floor.
Right. Unless it's on a stretcher. You know, that's it. But yeah, he went down a couple more times last night, and he's bleeding through his wraps that he's got on his knee. He's got all kinds of stuff going on there.
Yeah, part of his problem, though, and I think people are right, and he's going to have to address it, is he's not in fabulous shape.
No. And I mean, you would think by this time it would have clicked. You know what I mean?
He gets away with it.
He does. Somehow.
But, you know, if he dropped 10 pounds, which it looks like he easily could do, you know, could make his body a hell of a lot better.
He's like 6'7".
TB12, baby.
Yeah, he's 6'7". LeBron's like 6'8", and you put their body types side by side. One of them definitely would not look like, and Luka does not look. He looks a little soft.
But you know, Jokic is the dad bod god.
He is. And I love his interviews too. He's just, you know, so matter of fact, and you know, part of that is you know, a cultural thing, and the way I just love it. It cracks me up.
Who won? What is
third
MVP? No, not in a row.
Oh, that's right. That's
third
right.
in 4 years.
Third in 4 years. Yeah. That's right. Because
Embiid won last year.
Yes, Joel.
But the NBA to me has been really fun to watch. But the best part is that if the game gets uninteresting, you just flip over to
the hockey.
NHL.
I mean,
go to hockey.
I've got it going back and forth all night long, and it's entertaining. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's and then what isn't entertaining is that both the Wings and the Pistons are not involved at all.
No, I know.
And I have no idea what the Pistons are going to do. You know, there was a little thing that I didn't know anything about, and I got to look this guy's name up. But, you know, the general manager for the Timberwolves was the assistant GM at Denver. So, and a lot of people said that he had a lot to do with how Denver was assembled because he was there for a long time.
Okay.
And he is contractually available
I would.
I can't. Gore's threw how many millions at?
The full Monty.
Yeah,
and for coaching.
And Weaver's got to go.
He does. If they allow him to draft again, with what I mean, seriously, and I know it's a bad draft year. Sounds like it's going to.
Tim Connolly is his name.
A European
is the general manager for the Timberwolves.
Okay.
And now, obviously, he didn't draft Edwards or Karl Anthony Towns, but he's the one that made the Gobert deal and put all these other pieces together. This is a really good basketball team and fun to watch, too.
Mm-hmm.
So the Pistons are going to have to get a general manager. The funny thing is, Rich, is when Weaver first got there and made a couple of deals, they were like, "Oh, this guy's great."
You have my attention. Yeah, I thought this wheeler dealer.
Yeah,
Troy Weaver. And it just but all of a sudden you see the pieces not work so well on the court. You're like, what in the world?
Well, I'm not going to beat a dead horse.
Yeah.
Mathurin would be way better on this team than Jaden Ivey.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah. And the Murray kid that we thought Iowa's played well out west there, who was in Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think he's played,
yeah.
He's shot the ball out well, which Pistons desperately need shooters.
Isaiah Stewart, I don't know. There's just the pieces don't fit.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much and the pieces don't have value.
No, I know.
I don't think you can trade Jaden Ivey for anything. Same thing. Cunningham's the only one that anybody would want.
Yes.
And I don't think they're dealing him. So there's no light at the end of the tunnel for the Pistons. That's what's frustrating. At least with the Red Wings, you can see.
Yeah, I mean, they're right there. I mean, they just, maybe a tweak here or a tweak there that they could be.
But you see the Gensels and all these guys that got moved at the trade deadline still in the playoffs and everything else, and you're like, why didn't we make a move?
Yep.
Okay, so the Iser plan.
Yeah.
The Iser plan better be playoffs next year.
Stevie's stubborn, man. Yeah, he's a stubborn guy.
Well, that's going to do it for us here on Friday Faceoff on Up North Sports Radio. Don't forget to tune in tonight at 6:40 for the Tigers versus the Astros, and tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock for Finding Fairways, both at 9 or 10 o'clock, or you can just watch it on Up North Sports Radio's Facebook page if you haven't gotten sick and tired of my face. There's other people's faces in it as well. Rich is not in it.
I am not, no. But you can get sick of it at another time.
Yeah, thank you. That's perfectly put. All right, up next, CBS Radio Sports.
With a personal matter, which obviously was, I thought it was understandable, the birth of his first child, but to miss that game and the guys who were left behind to not only win but dominate the Nuggets the way they did on the road, I mean, that was incredible. You and I have both been on the Timberwolves from the very beginning to get through the West. But after seeing that, I think they could win it all, especially with Boston looking a little shaky as of today, and with the Porzingis injury. Minnesota right now might look like the best team in the league.
Yeah, I thought it was a different style of win for Minnesota, Chase. And if I was Denver, I would be shaking in my boots right now, because we've seen Anthony Edwards go crazy and do his thing. And we know the ancillary pieces like Jaden McDaniels and Mike Conley and Naz Reid have chipped in as well, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. But to have the greatest shooting big man of all time, as he calls himself, Chase Hughes, Karl Anthony Towns, with his best game by far since returning from injury the other night with 27 and 12. What did you see from him, and how does his added layer of offense change the dynamic in this series?
Well, it was a big question mark going into the postseason because, of course, he had the injury that kept him out for a while towards the end of the regular season. He was able to come back for a handful of games, looked pretty decent, but I did not think that he'd be this big of a factor just because of his health concerns. But when he's on, he's one of the most unstoppable offensive big men in the league, I think, just given his skill set and his size. And when he was the number one option for many years, I think at times it was a little too much for him. He wasn't consistent enough. But when he's playing second fiddle to Anthony Edwards, then I think it's the perfect role for him. But diving a little bit deeper into that series, the injury to Jamal Murray, his health, is a major question mark because we saw the Nuggets win the title last year when Jamal Murray was healthy. But in years past, they've struggled to go deep in the playoffs, contingent on Jamal Murray's health. And not only is he not looking like himself through these first couple games, but he's going up against a uniquely good group of defensive guards and wings. So he's in a really tough spot right now. He's going to have to find a way to step up. But when you have a guy like Karl Anthony Towns, as you mentioned, being a difference maker on offense who could just light it up from three at 7 feet tall, that is such a luxury for the Timberwolves.
Chase, and I know Minnesota was, for most of the regular season, the best defensive team. But what they've done to stymie Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray in their two-man game, it's been super impressive. Is it one of these things with the Joker where you're kind of just waiting for the other shoe to drop and for him to get out of this slump? Because in terms of not finishing around the basket at the rate that we're used to, the turnovers, it just hasn't been the Nikola Jokic that we've been accustomed to that won MVP the other night. We haven't seen that yet in this series.
Right. I'm sure he'll come around. I mean, he's a 3-time MVP at this point. Like, he's a certified all-time great. And, all season, we haven't really seen anyone stop him for an extended period of time. You and I have discussed that week he had late in the year where he dropped 40-plus on Rudy Gobert and Victor Wembanyama, the two best defenders in the league, the two guys who were, the finalists for Defensive Player of the Year. So we know he's got it in him, but everyone needs help. And I think even a player as good as him, especially against a defense like the Timberwolves, is going to need some help. And, Tom Haberstroh, a guy I used to work with who does a great job breaking down numbers, around the NBA, did this research that showed that Nikola Jokic has never played with an all-star. And it's extremely rare among recent MVPs for that to be the case. So he doesn't have a fellow all-star on the team, but Jamal Murray has played like an all-star once they get to the playoffs. He just hasn't been playing like that recently. So I think it's got to be Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, KCP, these guys. Maybe Christian Brown can have a big game. Someone's got to step up, take a little pressure off him, and that way he can get a little bit more space against a stifling defense.
Yeah, it seems like that's going to be the story here in the final games of this series. Can the other guys for Denver help pick up some of the scoring load for Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, who quite honestly have struggled here in these first two games? The first half of tonight's doubleheader, New York and Indiana, an interesting one, Chase. When I look at what happened in Game 2, Indiana, call it what it is, blew a golden opportunity with Jalen Brunson missing really the entirety of that second quarter. As soon as he comes back in, Chase, New York goes on a 21-6 run, and they outscore the Pacers 36-18 in that third period. When you look at this series and how things are going to play out here in the next couple of games, do you think Indiana has anyone capable of stopping Jalen Brunson? Because right now that's been the difference.
No, I don't think so. I mean, Tyrese Halliburton, I think, is capable of playing good defense. He's bigger than Jalen Brunson. I liked him defensively coming out of college, but he hasn't been a great defender at the NBA level, and the Pacers just don't have a great defense overall. Like, they've got some pieces. They've got some guys who could play defense. Miles Turner can protect the rim, but I think they were 28th in defensive rating this year. And this is something that you see for a lot of teams when they get to the playoffs, is that you can't really go on a deep playoff run unless you have at least an above-average defense. And you can't win a title unless you have an elite defense. Like, you can go back many years, and defense is the one of the biggest indicators of whether a team is a serious contender. And so I think the Pacers are probably a little bit in over their heads in this second-round series because they got past the Bucks largely because of injuries to Milwaukee's best players. And, New York is banged up, but they're still so deep that I think they've got enough. And, I think Tyrese Halliburton is a really good player. I think he's honestly going to be in the Hall of Fame someday. I'm a huge fan of his game, but he's so young, and it seems like it's more so Brunson's moment. But we'll have to see with his health. Obviously, Jalen Brunson is a major separator, especially with all the guys that the Knicks are missing right now. So if he's not healthy, if his injury swells up and has swelled up over the past few days, that could maybe open the door for the Pacers, but I think they are a good young team that's going to have to figure out things on the defensive end before they can break through in a serious way in the playoffs.
It's ironic that they're struggling so much on that end of the floor, Chase, because Rick Carlisle is known for his defensive chops, one of the best defensive minds in the association. They've got the personnel to do it. For whatever reason, though, it's just not clicking. I want to go back to last night here for a second and talk about the Boston Celtics, who you've been higher on than I have, Chase. It just, for some reason, I got to see it to believe it when it comes to this group in the postseason. How concerned, or a better way to put it is, what does last night's blowout loss mean for the outlook of Boston moving forward here in this postseason?
Well, it was definitely a bad loss, and it definitely raised a lot of questions about them. But I don't think it was something that, unless we see it happen again, you need to worry too much about, because
really, okay,
the Cavaliers have a really good defense, but I don't think it's going to happen too often where, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have bad games. Jrue Holiday had 4 points. Derek White was off. Like, their offense was just off. They've got one of the best offenses in the league. And it just, for whatever reason, that night they just didn't have it. And obviously that's going to be a question mark without Kristaps Porzingis. They lose a lot of offense without him in the equation. But I still think they get past the Cavaliers. The Cavs are good, though, and Donovan Mitchell is definitely a star, borderline
bad
superstar. Dude. Yeah, he was 5 of 7 from 3 last night, getting into the paint at will. Regardless of the offense, Boston can be a lot better defensively than they were in that game. And I think it's specifically at guard. Yeah. As good as Donovan Mitchell is, like Jrue Holiday and Derek White, that's about as good of a defensive guard combo as you're going to find. Right. So those guys are going to have to step up, be better offensively than they were. But I think more important than anything, try to limit Donovan Mitchell a little bit, because we know if he has an average game, then it's going to be a lot harder for the Cavs to win than if he goes off for 30, 40 points.
And you mentioned this when we talked last week. I thought it was an excellent point. I thought Cleveland would have a shot in the series strictly based off of size and not knowing the availability of Kristaps. But when you look at it from a matchup standpoint, I was stunned to see Donovan Mitchell go off the way that he was able to go off. When you got Jaylen Brown that you could put on him, and Derek White and Jrue Holiday, as you mentioned, it was interesting to see Donovan not be bothered by them switching defenders up on him. The thing that really got me, Chase, and this has been, it seems like, the problem with Boston all year, when they don't make threes, when shots aren't falling, and they were 8 of 35 last night from beyond the arc, they don't play defense. And you just alluded to it. The defense wasn't very good. On the flip side for Cleveland, this stat was via second spectrum tracking. 77.1% of the threes attempted from Boston last night were heavily contested. That's the highest percentage in any game that Boston's played with Joe Mazzulla as the coach. And it now moves Boston to 14-14 over the past 3 seasons at TD Garden. I know you think that they'll still be able to get out of this series, but if Cleveland is able to upset Boston, what do you think the recipe is for it? Or do you think last night was an anomaly?
Well, that's a great stat, first of all. What that tells me is that guys like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are going to have to find a way to get into the paint and open up some space on the perimeter for their shooters. But I think that would be part of the recipe. Certainly if Donovan Mitchell can continue to reign free, then that's going to be really tough. But I think it's size and physicality. Those are two things that can give the Celtics some issues. I think they're going to – I picked them to win it all going into the playoffs, largely because they won 64 games. That's a lot of wins. Like, historically, if you win that many games, like, you are basically insured a trip to the conference finals, if not the finals. And most teams that win that many games or the equivalent in shorter seasons end up winning it all, right? And they're so deep, good on both ends of the floor. But they do lack size when Porzingis isn't in there. And I think as good of an offseason as they had last summer, they lost a lot of their most physical players, like Marcus Smart, Grant Williams, Malcolm Brogdon, Robert Williams. I think those guys helped them match up against more physical teams. So, like, if the New York Knicks or the Cavaliers, teams like that, there is a path for them to, give the Celtics some issues in that regard. I think certainly if, like, they met the Knicks in the conference finals and New York was healthier than they are right now, then they could be a tough matchup for Boston. But even still, it's just one game. I still think they get out of the East because they are so deep and they are so good on both ends of the floor.
It's going to be fascinating to watch. I know a lot of people on social media, Chase, preying on the downfall of Joe Mazzulla and the Boston Celtics. Talk a little bit off-season stuff here for a second, Chase. Coaches fired. We saw Frank Vogel fired yesterday in Phoenix. There's a report that came out via The Athletic that they're looking to add someone to the front office to maybe oversee their president of basketball ops, James Jones. How do you gauge the situation in Phoenix, and do you think firing Frank Vogel after winning 49 games was justified?
I kind of see their situation similar to the LA Clippers in that, you have a really good trio on paper at the top of your roster, but it's not necessarily a winning formula. For the Clippers, I think it's largely because of age and health concerns. And for the Suns, I think it's age, health concerns, and a little bit of redundancy. I think their top three players are too offense-driven. They need a little bit more balance. I made this point last time we were talking about the Clippers where, yes, you've got three really good players, but they're up there in age. Obviously I'm not including Devin Booker, more so Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal. But if you could swap one of those guys who's got durability concerns for a younger player or several younger players, even if they aren't as good or as accomplished, just raising your floor by knowing that you can count on them, I think would help the Suns. They got to get a point guard who can run the show, and they've got to get better defensively. Going back to the point I made earlier, you can't win in the playoffs without a good defense, and they did not have a good defense this year. And they ran up against the Timberwolves, who have maybe a historically good defense, and they got swept. So they've got to fix those areas. I don't blame Frank Vogel for a lot of their problems, but we've gone through it. Anyone who follows the NBA, that the Suns are kind of backed into a corner with a lot of the resources they have because they went all in on Bradley Beal. So it's not going to be easy to navigate out of it. And so, whether it requires changes in the front office or, a guy like Mike Budenholzer, we'll see. But I really think it's a matter of personnel and just moving some pieces around to create more balance and to have a better defense.
Do you think, or do you believe, rather, what Matt Ishbia has said about them being willing to, run it back with the big three intact, or do you think they'd be better off potentially moving a guy like a Kevin Durant? Because I fully anticipate him potentially asking out because it just doesn't benefit him to stay here, Chase. It just doesn't.
Well, obviously it's been a trend for him over time, and if things don't change, then it might be in his best interest, right? How much time does he have left at his peak? He's still so good, and you don't want to waste any years of potentially competing for championships. I think they need to move some pieces around and get better defensively, as I mentioned. But maybe not for them specifically, but it is interesting to see what has happened with the Timberwolves this year and just the value of standing pat and kind of trusting your instincts and your line of thinking when you do make a big move. Just because it doesn't work in year one doesn't mean it can't click in year two. And I think we've seen over time a season goes sideways and all of a sudden teams make a bunch of changes in the offseason and then things get worse. Look at the LA Lakers, you and I talked about how they actually had a pretty good roster when they won the title, and then it didn't work the next year, and they split it up, and they probably wish they could go back. Like the Milwaukee Bucks, for instance, this year, it didn't work. They lost in the first round, but if they come back next year and have more continuity and Giannis and Damian Lillard are healthy, then who knows, right? I don't think that's going to apply to the Phoenix Suns because of their flaws, but, to a certain extent, running it back, maybe if it's some combination of those guys, there could be merit in that.
Chase, I know you cover the draft as well for Monumental Sports Network. With the draft lottery coming up on Sunday, the team that is afforded the number one overall pick, if I had to put you on the clock right now, Chase, do you have a guy that you think is the favorite to be that number one overall pick in this draft?
As of now, I'd probably say the easy answer is Alex Sarr, just because he's 7'1", athletic, seems to project as a really good defensive center. Maybe like a Jared Allen or an Evan Mobley Jr. with the prospect of potentially being a pretty good offensive player too. He's a decent shooter, decent skill set, in the mid-range. So I think there's a high ceiling there simply because of his size and athleticism. But I think Zachary Reese-Shay's got a really good chance. I think both guys are French, and I think those two players have the best combinations of size, athleticism, and skill sets that would warrant the number one pick, because you're trying to select someone there with the highest ceiling, and so you're not going to pick someone who's undersized or not athletic enough. They got to check off some of those boxes, and those are the two guys that do at this point. But I don't think I think a little bit too much is being made of there not being a consensus number one pick, because sometimes that's worked out really well for teams. And there's many examples, but 2020 is a good one because no one knew he was going to be the number one pick going into like the week of the draft, and it ended up being Anthony Edwards, and he's turned out pretty good.
Yes, he has, Chase. One name that has come up in the mix for that number one overall pick here recently is Donovan Clingan, the big man from UConn. When you look at his game and the work that you've done on him, how do you think he projects to the pro level, and what team potentially in the lottery do you think is a good fit for him?
Well, I think he could be a really good defensive player, maybe a very good to elite rim protector. Walker Kessler comes to mind. Mark Williams comes to mind. He's turned into a pretty good young player for the Charlotte Hornets, but not number one overall material, I don't think. I mean, in this draft, I definitely think he'll go top 10. I could see him going top 5, depending on how things shake out, because I think he'll be a relatively safe pick with a pretty high ceiling on the defensive end. And so if you're a young team, like the Wizards or, the Pistons or the Blazers, where, you could really use like a defensive anchor to build around, then I think it could make a lot of sense. If, you don't get lucky and get the first or second overall pick,
right,
and you're down around like the 5-6 range. The Spurs would be kind of an interesting question mark. Obviously they have a pretty good rim protector in Victor Wembanyama, but look at how good the Timberwolves are right now.
Right.
Going big, and sort of overloading at that position, and having a guy like Clingan to play that Rudy Gobert role, and then all of a sudden, Victor Wembanyama is free to do whatever he wants, kind of like Karl Anthony Towns, and play on the perimeter if need be, do double duty at the rim, protecting the rim, or staggering them defensively. It gives you a lot of optionality. So I could see him fitting a lot of teams at the top. Maybe not the Hornets, as I mentioned, because they have Mark Williams and there'd be some redundancy there, but a young rim protector could be a very valuable asset for sure.
Before I let you go, Chase, what'd you think of OKC in Dallas game 2 last night? Kyrie Irving, I thought, was really the unsung hero, and what he was able to bring defensively, setting a tone right now for Dallas, and they look way, way better in game 2 all of a sudden.
I thought they were going to win game 2 because they have lost a bunch of game 1s, including last round. They lost game 1 to the Clippers when they were missing Kawhi, and they came back and won the series. Dallas looked really good against the Clippers, so I knew they were capable of this as long as Luka was healthy.
Break after this.
And Kyrie is a major separator. I mean, I think experience is one advantage they have over the Thunder, and also Kyrie's better than the Thunder's number 2. I think Luka and SGA kind of cancel each other out. In fact, I heard from an NBA scout earlier this year. He said he'd rather have SGA than Luka, and I thought it was a surprising take, but it's a lot closer than you think. But Kyrie, you would clearly rather have than the number 2 of the Thunder. The Thunder are deep, but so are the Mavs. They're deep enough now that they can go on runs when Luka's off the court. We saw it last night. They go up by double digits, and then all of a sudden Luka's checking in and slowing the game down by getting to the free throw line. So they're dangerous, especially if P.J. Washington is making 7+ threes.
Yeah, we're real familiar with him and his time in Charlotte, but it's been interesting to see him and our pal Daniel Gafford making a significant impact for those Dallas Mavericks. Chase, appreciate you giving us some time, my friend. Enjoy the rest of the NBA postseason. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely, man. You do the same. Have a good weekend.
That is Chase Hughes, one of the absolute best, talking all things NBA. You make sure you give him a follow on the X app at Chase DC Sports. We'll take a quick time out. When we come back, go around the NBA again once more with Buy or Sell next here on the Infinity Sports Network.
Okay, picture this. It's Friday afternoon when a thought hits you. I can spend another weekend doing the same old whatever, or I can hop into my all-new Hyundai Santa Fe and hit the road. With available H-Track all-wheel drive and 3-row seating, my entire family can head deep into the wild. Conquer the weekend in the all-new Hyundai Santa Fe. Visit HyundaiUSA.com or call 562-314-4603 for more details. Hyundai, there's joy in every journey.
This Military Appreciation Month, Navy Federal Credit Union wants to celebrate our members who go above and beyond every single day. That's why we thought you might want to hear some special thank you messages from your friends and family.
I want to give a shout out to my brother AZ1 Archie Castillo.
Hi, I want to give a shout out to my friend Colin, who's currently serving in the Army. Thanks for all you do. Happy Military Appreciation Month.
And from all of us here, happy Military Appreciation Month. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA.
Get your vehicle looking its best inside and out with Griot's Garage Appearance products and save right now in-store only at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Celebrate Clean Car Month and save $5 right now when you buy any 2 Griot's Garage Appearance products. Choose from all-in-one wax, headlight cleaner, interior cleaner, and more. The professional parts people can recommend all the cleaning supplies you need for your vehicle during Clean Car Month at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store.
Free! Who doesn't love free? With Milo's Rewards, you get the member-only treatment that's actually worth it. Enjoy free member gifts you'll love. And once you reach Silver Key status, you can get free standard shipping. Because Lowe's knows nothing feels better than free. Learn more about our new loyalty program at Lowe's.com/MyLowe's Rewards today. Program subject to terms and conditions. See Lowe's.com/terms for details. Member gifts may be subject to additional terms and restrictions. See Lowe's.com/shipping terms for details. Subject to change.
Happy Friday, everyone. It is a beautiful day across much of northern Michigan with mostly sunny skies for a good chunk of us, but there are a few spots that could have partly sunny conditions out there. Temperatures are going to be in those mid-50s to mid-60s, and winds are going to remain mainly out of the west at about 5 to 10 miles per hour, maybe even a little bit more out of the southwest by this evening. Now, tonight we are going to see clouds roll back in. We are also going to see a line of rain showers roll through northern Michigan going into tomorrow morning, so we will have some soggy conditions going into Saturday morning. Any anticipation of seeing the northern lights tonight doesn't look like we will be having any viewing across northern Michigan because of the clouds and said showers. Now Saturday we will have a few showers out there, but mainly light, and it's not going to be a washout. I'm 9 and 10 meteorologist Michael Stevens.
The Northeast Michigan Community Service Agency is looking for active adults 55 or over for the Retired Senior Volunteer Program. It allows volunteers to apply a lifetime of skills and wisdom to make a positive difference in the lives of others and their communities. Volunteers choose how and where they want to serve and how much time they want to give. For details, stop by the Northeast Michigan Community Service Agency at 1015 Short Drive in Prudenville or online nemcsa.org. nemcsa.org.
Hey barbecue fans, this is Ian Murphy from the Iron Pig Smokehouse in downtown Galen. We've got a brand new menu for you to try. All our classic favorites plus a few new additions like egg rolls, smoked whitefish wontons, Texas Twinkies, pot stickers, and more. We're open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner at 11 a.m. and serve breakfast Saturday and Sunday beginning at 9 a.m. Visit ironpigsmoke.com for all the current happenings including live music, karaoke, and open mic. And don't forget to risk it for the brisket.
Hear all the Tiger baseball action in the 101 Up North Sports Radio and home of Tigers baseball. Brought to you in part by Odawa Casino Resort. Winning never looks so good. Go to odawacasino.com.
The IRS, the world's most aggressive collection agency. They can seize your property, bank account, and garnish your wages. They cause sleepless nights for millions of Americans. Don't be one of them. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS or state, get protected today. Call 800-312-9970. Coast One Tax Group, protecting your bank, home, and your sleep since 2008. With hundreds of 5-star reviews and an A+ on the Better Business Bureau. Call Coast One Tax Group, 800-312-9970. Stanley from New York owed $93,000. The IRS placed a levy on his bank account. Coast One released the levy and settled with the IRS for $2,000. Mark in Michigan owed $225,000. After Coast One stepped in, Mark walked away paying less than $1,500. Call Coast One now. A 10-minute call can save you up to 93% on your back taxes. Get your fresh start today. That's 800-312-9970.
What side will Bill take on the biggest issues in the world of sports? It's time for today's edition of Buy or Sell on Writer Than You.
It's Buy or Sell here on Writer Than You on the all-new Infinity Sports Network. The youngest in charge movement, Linnell Willingham, sitting in for Bill Ryder alongside super producer Chris Hess. He's going to give us Buy or Sell. Chris?
Let's kick it off with number one. The Cleveland Cavaliers put an absolute hurting on the Boston Celtics last night at TD Garden, a place where the Celtics straight up haven't lost this season. Game 2 proved that the Celtics are indeed vulnerable, and maybe they're not immortal after all. Buy or sell. The Cavs win in Game 2 was the spark they needed, and they will upset Boston to go to the Eastern Conference Finals.
We talked about it at the top of the show. The Cleveland Cavaliers punked the Boston Celtics last night at TD Garden after the Celtics had their best home record during the regular season in franchise history. It's tough. This is hard. I don't want to be considered a hot take artist, but I'm going to buy it, man. I just don't. I don't respect the Boston Celtics, and I don't think the Boston Celtics respect the Boston Celtics. It's one thing to lose, but they were absolutely boat raced last night. The health of Kristaps Porzingis moving forward obviously going to be a big factor in this. But I think Evan Mobley, if he can continue to provide Cleveland with the spark he gave him last night, they'll have a real shot. Darius Garland has just 5 of 8 last night, not much of an impact. We knew the defensive backcourt of Derek White and Drew Holiday would cause Cleveland fits, but yeah, they were able to get it done anyway. I'm going to buy it, though. I do think Cleveland can get it done versus Boston here.
Number 2, Jalen Brunson is one of the NBA's most underrated superstars and continues to play at an extremely high level despite being banged up. The Knicks have been bitten by the injury bug, but it hasn't mattered. The Nova 3, strong rebounding, timely shots, and great coaching have all been key. Buy or sell. The Knicks will sweep the Pacers and be a nightmare for whoever they draw in the conference finals.
Open up the checkbook. I'm buying it.
Buy.
And here's why. First of all, the Pacers don't guard anybody. They're young, they're soft, and they take after the personality, rather, of their head coach. And Rick Carlisle at the podium the other night, it just rubbed me the wrong way. I don't think that Indiana has a guy on the perimeter that can stop Jalen Brunson. With no OG Anunoby tonight for the Knicks, I think Brunson can go for 40. And if it is Boston that they draw, in those Eastern Conference Finals, I think Chase Hughes alluded to it perfectly. They've got the depth to go toe-to-toe with the Celtics. And if it's the Cavs, I don't think it'd be much of a story. They punked them last year in the opening round. I see them being able to do it again. Knicks fans out there, it's your year, baby. Rock and roll.
Number 3, Luka Doncic is one of the NBA's shining stars and continues to get better each time he steps out onto the floor, which is hard to believe because he's already fantastic. The duo of him and Kyrie Irving has given the Mavs a taste of the glory days again, and we know how good some of those teams with Dirk and company were. This team won't go away quietly and is about as physical as they come. Buy or sell. The Mavericks will win the Western Conference.
Whoa. Do the Minnesota Timberwolves still play basketball out west? They do. So I'm going to sell.
Sell.
I think we are on a collision course for a Mavs and T-Wolves Western Conference Finals, but don't rule out Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Thunder just yet. I thought last night they were uber competitive. Chet Holmgren didn't shoot the basketball well.